to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So first things first, I want to wish Maritza a very, very happy 39th birthday today. Yes, she turns 39. She's 1 year away from the big 4-0, and it's all downhill from here, girl. You know, she used to make fun of me for being a little old, so, you know, I guess you're catching up to me, so. But I really want to wish her a happy birthday and hope it was an amazing one. And it's funny that I met her when I was 26 years old, or when she was 26 years old, and time goes by so fast. I met Leanne and then Maritza, and it's been a wonderful friendship since then. So happy birthday, girl. All right, so, and a happy New Year's to everybody. It is a new year. It is, I know most of you are excited that 2020 is gone, but you know what, I guess it's how you see perspective and how you view things in life. Those that crumble to fear and anxiety and stuff like that think that 2020 was a bad year, but you know what, there is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong. Years don't create problems. Life creates problems and challenges that we have to rise above. And I know it has been a stressful year for a lot of people, but you know, for me, honestly, this past year was an amazing year. I get, like I said, it's all perspective. I guess if you want to look at it, I could sit there and say, well, you know, it was a terrible year because COVID, and then with the heart issues and all sorts of things, gaining weight, my health and everything like that. But no, it was a wonderful year for me and a fantastic year because all that stuff brought me back to being able to give me enough time to work on myself and just kind of get through some past issues and everything and just kind of really focus on where I want to go from here on out. And I owe it to that. I really do. And I guess that's really where you want to take it. If you want to sit there and be victimized by a year, then it's going to be troublesome because a year is not going to change your problems. You're always going to find challenges every year. You're always going to find problems every single year. And so you can't be sitting there saying, oh, well, 2020 sucked, 2019 sucked, and 2018, 2022, you know, next year is going to be great. No, it is up to you to make the challenges now, or to make the changes on your challenges now. And really put yourself where you want to be. So don't wait around for a year to change. Don't wait around for someone to come and save you. Do it for yourself. Find the power within and make 2021 awesome, because that's what we're going to do here. So yeah. So all right, guys, as always, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, LinkedIn, and Daily Motion. And the replays will be in the link below as always. And because we're on so many networks now, instead of me going through them all the time, you guys know them by now, but we are on everything. So let's get into today's show because we got a lot to go. Really got a lot to go over. We're going to talk about twin flames, soulmates, and reincarnation. And this is a really big topic for a lot of people. I always hear everybody constantly talking about these. Oh, I hope to meet my twin flame. And I see it all the time on social media. I mean, when I used to do readings for a lot of the stores across the country, that was one of the number one thing. Oh, I want to find my soulmate, or I want to find my twin flame. And a lot of times we always think that our twin flames or our soulmate is the person we're going to marry. And that is not actually true at all. And we're going to get into that in a little bit of why that's not truth, because we're going to talk about the truth about twin flames and soulmates. And I know we did a sessions on this show a couple weeks ago for those of you who subscribe to the website and everything like that. And those shows are specifically geared for you guys and everything like that. So if you're not a part of that, go on soulandspiritguide.com and sign up and become a member, and you will get VIP access to the session shows. So, all right, guys. But yeah, so, but twin flames and soulmates, we always have there's always this stigma. There's one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of ideas out there that we have the wrong interpretation of, or as I say, karma, soulmates, twin flames. There's so many things. Duality, positive and negative energy. I don't know how many times we've had, how many times I get healers that sit there and say, oh, well, I feel negative energy from you, and I'm going to remove all this negative energy and put positive energy in you. And that's not how energy works, and that's not how negative and positive energy work. And so there's a lot of misconceptions, and rightfully so, because we really aren't taught these things, right from a young age. As I always say, we're just geared towards school. As soon as we're old enough, we are geared towards school. In the United States, we're a very religious country, so it's not really, we're becoming more mixed. There's a lot more people that are turning to spirituality now, but still it's predominantly religious. So never taught these ideas of twin flames and soulmates, because that was just nonsense, as they say. That was the devil's work. And so, but there are ideas out there that we're looking at, and we always think that these ideas of twin flames and soulmates and all this stuff is supposed to bring us to completion in our life. And for many of us, we get hung up on the labels. We really do. We get hung up on trying to find the perfect relationship, the perfect person for us, because that's what we really search for. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago, we did a session show on relationships, and we were kind of talking about that, where so many of us get so hung up on these ideas. And actually, we just did a video on the survival guide breakup, so if you haven't checked that out, please check it out. But these relationship type of ideas are that way. And so we're sitting there and we get this idea that we have to find the perfect person, and if we don't find the perfect person, then it's a failure or whatever, and we kind of down spiral for some reason. And it's really funny how much emphasis is really put on this idea of finding a twin flame or a soulmate, because that means that you found someone really special, right? Because I don't know how many times I've watched people, and I've seen people who are dating, and they're like, oh, baby, you're my soulmate, right? Yes, you're my soulmate too. And all of a sudden, a few months later, they break up and they don't like each other and they never talk again. And so this idea and this concept that we have to get out, we have to remove those labels, because we have to get out of this idea that we have to find the perfect person. And I get it. It's alluring, because we're not happy. As people being single, we are not happy. And that's sad, because we are meant to be happy being single. We are meant to be happy. Being single does not equal being alone. It's how you perceive yourself. If you perceive yourself with low self-esteem, low self-worth, and those type of ideas, then yes, then you being single, it is going to be miserable for you, and you are going to chase this idea of twin flames and soulmates, because you think that, oh, in order for me to be happy, because that's what we're taught, in order for me to be happy, especially us women, we're supposed to wait for a guy in their knight in shining armor to come in on a white steed horse and rescue us from the tower, and it just doesn't make sense. And even men are taught that as well. Well, they're not supposed to be rescued, but they're supposed to go out and seek the girl that's supposed to make them happy and be their mother and fix them and do all this stuff for them. And this is why relationships fail. This is why this idea of twin flames and soulmates is such a big concept, because to take away our pain, to fix me, and to make me happy, to make me complete is just is our idea of happiness. And hey, do you blame us? To be honest with us, do you blame us for thinking that way when we've grown up with Disney? And I love Disney, but it gave me an unrealistic idea of what relationships really are, because at the end of the movie it's always some guy coming in to or nowadays it's the girl rescuing the guy. Before it was the guy rescuing the girl, and it was their soulmate or twin flame, and they lived happily ever after. And so we expect that. We expect relationships to be perfect, and we hunt this idea out. And when during the honeymoon phase, yes, everything is blissful, everything is exciting, and all these other things. But then all of a sudden, and that's usually when we think we found our twin flame or our soulmates. But then all of a sudden that newness wears off, and all those little red flags, all those things that didn't annoy us start to annoy us. And we have to work through that. Because I don't care how much who you have as a soulmate, if you actually have your twin flame this lifetime, which we'll get into, you probably don't, but for the few people that actually do out there, we'll get into that a little bit later. But if you have this idea of that thing, then that's the way it's going to be. So let's get into soulmates for a second, because I want to talk about this, because soulmates are this idea that we have this romanticized idea about. We have this thing where most of it actually is always our life partners, but it's not our life partners. Soulmates can be anything from friends, from family members, to people that we're close to, even animals. And I know a lot of you love that idea and say, yes, my cat, my dog, my bird, my lizard is a soulmate. But these are, a lot of times, soulmates are people and energies and beings that you reincarnate with over and over and share similar lives. They don't necessarily have to be your husband or your wife or someone that you're dating, because sometimes it is true, but a lot of times these are people that you just have a bond with. Remember, soul, and the word, if we take apart the word soul and mates, so that means we mate with the soul. That means two souls that are mating. And that doesn't mean romanticized. That doesn't mean sexual. That can mean two energies that have gone through a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of things together, and shared many lives together, and have gone through many things in order for you to and you feel that connection right away. There are people there is a connection that you feel, and it's not always, oh yes, I'm in love with the person, this person is the one. This is not that idea that I'm saying. The idea of the soulmate is when we feel a connection where we just click. And that doesn't mean we click for 6 months and then all of a sudden we fight. I mean, these are your long-lasting friendships that even if they move away, even if you guys fight, you always find a way back to each other. Even if you move away, you guys still talk. I have a couple of soulmate friendships out in my life now, and they live halfway across the country, and we still talk, not every day, but probably several times a week, and we continue our lives just like they still live here. And so the connection that we have is just a very family feeling to it. It's just someone that you trust. It's someone that you would go to war with. That's the type of feeling, at least for me, that's how it describes it. Like, I know that these people would have my back no matter what. And they've actually proven it. They've actually proven it when I've had tough times, that they have been there for me over and over. And they don't judge you. Soulmates will never judge you because they understand you. These are two similar souls. And it doesn't mean that you're at the same dome. If as we were talking about the age of all souls, it doesn't mean that you're at the same level of consciousness. Because again, every soul has this idea of growth. And so depending on how long it it takes you to learn your lessons, it depends on how long you're going to grow. For someone who understands the growth and really wants to do it and start working out, they're going to move through a little faster, but they're still going to have those lessons. So soulmates can interact with different domes, just that they have similar energies and they've shared many, many lives together. And that's really what it is. And like I said, this can be anybody. So when we're looking at it, it could be your immediate family, extended circle. It could be anybody or any being that's consciously aware over here. It doesn't have to be that. And what's great about soulmates is they implement life lessons, and so do twin flames, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. But soulmates implement life lessons a little bit differently than twin flames. Life lessons with a soulmate is a little bit more, if I want to say it correctly, it's a little bit more where it's not so harsh, it's not so devastating. That's the twin flames job, and yes, that can burn, that can really burn and crash us. But the implementing of life lessons is really something that you're going to see with the soulmates. And no matter what, with my soulmate friends, I can be myself around them. I can cry. I can share my deepest, darkest secrets. I could tell them anything, and not once have I ever felt ashamed of breaking down or being who I needed to be at that time, or hey, we've all had things in our lives where we've made judgments that weren't so favorable to us, and these are the people that look at us and, hey, they may tease us because they're our friends, but at the same time, they're there for us. They're always there for us, and they don't judge because they just love us. And there's this deep love and this deep connection that has it. And what's great is it's a great learning experience. Like I have honestly learned so much from my friends that are soulmates that have been there through me. I've watched them go through things. I've gone through things. We've gone through things together. Some not so pleasant, but not totally devastating. And it's just a wonderful thing where you see how the growth, two soulmates are supposed to strengthen each other. They're supposed to grow, and they're supposed to be able to grow and evolve together. They can still have separate lives and separate paths, but in certain areas they like to grow together because that's what a soulmate does. It's almost like if you've ever had a friend that, or I had two friends in high school, and they became really close during a couple years of school. And what ended up happening was they always got bad grades, and so what they did was they became really good friends, and they actually worked together on their homework, and they had a lot of the same classes. It was really weird. Like for 2 years in a row, they had almost the same set of classes, and it was just funny how that was. And the only reason why they passed high school was because these two guys were friends, and because they were together. If they weren't together, I still question this, that I don't think either would have made it through high school. But because they bonded at such a great time, and they pushed each other to do homework and to do better and everything like that, they were able to pass. And that's what a soulmate does. And sometimes soulmates don't even have to be, where you're sitting there lasting forever for the rest of your life. They can come and go, similar to twin flames. They can come and go, but the intensity of the relationship is solid. And that's really what you're looking for in a soulmate. Because remember that these soulmates, they're not going to be mean to you. They're always going to be supportive. And me being on the outside watching that really honestly was very amazing. I would sit there and say, wow, this is funny that they actually wrote it in their lives, so that they were both having bad grades, that they actually both got to the same set of classes 2 years in a row, helped each other out. And because of that, because they supported each other, they got through high school. And I just thought that was an amazing thing. And then after high school, they talked for maybe a few years. But then, of course, after college and everything like that, one of them went away, one of them didn't, and stuff like that. And so they ended up just parting ways. And I guarantee you, they haven't talked, because I'm still talking to one of them. And if I guarantee you, if they were to get together, it would still be the same way. And that's the truth about soulmates. Soulmates, no matter how much time or space is between you, you can come right back and get back. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back, and if you're just joining us, we are talking about twin flames, soulmates, and reincarnation. Well, we're going to get into reincarnation in a little bit, but let's move on to twin flames because twin flames is another one that we classify as our love partner all the time, and 99.9% of the time, this is not going to be the person we're married to or in a relationship with, and that is one of the things that we have to be able to understand. Twin flames very rarely incarnate with us. They very rarely are here, and so that's one of the reasons why we have to look at it and get away from these ideas. I mean, there's always going to be people that hear this and say, well, you know what, I don't care, that they feel like my twin flame, they feel like my soulmate. And that's fine if that's what you want to call them. But in reality, twin flames are 99.9% of the time not going to be your romantic partner. These people or these beings incarnate with us to teach us the harshest of lessons. And let me tell you, they are soul breaking sometimes. They are the most devastating. And one of the things that I always tell people is that the people that come, and this is something you have to remember, the people that come into your life, that destroy your life, that make the most chaos, that make the most mess, are doing you the greatest favor. And I know, especially when you're angry, that sounds really, really horrible, but it really is. They are doing you the greatest favor, because what ends up happening is you're sitting there and you're saying, you know what, well, this person hurt me, they cheated on me, they did all these different things, but you have to ask yourselves, if we change our perspective and we look at something, we look at life differently, and we look at our challenges and and we remove our own ego and our own need for justification, then we start seeing that these people came into our lives via contract to help us grow. Because don't we learn the most out of our chaos? We do. And so these twin flames take the role of Mr. or Mrs. Bad Guy a lot of times, and come in very chaotic to teach us the harshest of lessons. These people will teach you. These people will destroy you sometimes. They will make you feel like you are the lowest in dirt, because they are meant to build for you to find yourself, to build yourself back up. And you have to be able to do this. You have to be able to think that that these lessons that are coming in are here to help you. Because a lot of times, if we think that, oh, well, we have a twin flame and yay, it's our perfect match, that's what kind of devastates us. And I was kind of talking about that in this week's YouTube video, about how we have this conception that everybody is the one, and because we think every single person is the one, that we start throwing these words, oh, you're my soulmate, you're my twin flame. And hey, I've even dated people that I was only with for a few months, and they're like, "Oh, don't you think you're my soulmate?" And I'm like, no. And that didn't go over too well, because when I was young, I was very honest with a lot of things, and it sometimes got me into trouble. Now I've learned to reserve myself a little bit, and to be a little bit more smooth with my words. Still a challenge for me. I'm still bluntly honest a lot of times, but I've learned a little bit more finesse. But the fact of the matter is that when we look at these things and we have these ideas that this person's the one, they're my twin flame, they're my soulmate, what you're telling them is that they're here to save you, that they're here to fix you, that all your problems are going to be washed away. And that's not the job of a twin flame or a soulmate. A soulmate is there to help you through your life. It is meant to help you grow. It is meant to help be that companion, that confidant that is there to help walk with you, not to walk you, or not to do it for you. And a twin flame is there to smash you. Oops, hit the mic. And a twin flame is there to smash you. And because you have to learn, there all comes a time in our evolution where we have to have those smashings. And I remember when I used to do a lot of card readings, and for people, one of the card that people used to hate all the time was the Devil and the Tower, because they didn't understand it. They saw change, and some people, because of the Devil, they think it's evil and everything like that. And the Tower always represented this universal way of knocking you around. But what they didn't understand is they had choices up into there. And that's the funny thing about the twin flame. The twin flame makes you have all these choices before the big knockdown. And so a lot of times they test you. They come here and they test you to see what kind of choices you're going to make. And if you don't make certain choices, then all of a sudden the big knockdown happens. And so if you look at if you're looking at the cards and you're looking at the Tower card, that's what the Tower card represents. It's catastrophic, but it's much needed, because you haven't done the choices that you needed to make in order for your life to change. And so sometimes you write in your plan that the universe has to do it for you. So that's always the most uncomfortable. And a lot of times when there's big shifts, that's when the twin flame comes in. It's not always. A lot of times I've read and I've talked to people, and they always like, oh, it's on your last life. When your last life, your twin flame. Well, that's not true. It could be on your last life, but a lot of times they come in for the big shifts in your evolution. So when you're trying to make a huge jump and you just don't want to, you've come here and you just don't want to make that jump, they will come in and destroy that old foundation. So you have no choice but to build. And it's funny because I haven't had any of twin flames in this lifetime. But I've had to have people that I've dated that have taken that role of that something similar, and actually have treated me totally horrible and broke that down and devastated my life. And it was one of the biggest blessings I've ever had. At the time, it hurt. I wanted to just stick my head in the oven. But then I had to realize that this type of idea, that these people who came into my life, who hurt me, who made me feel low and little and everything like that, they gave me the greatest gift. They gave me my awareness back. I said, you know what? No one should treat me like this. Why did I let someone treat me like this? And that's the whole point, because a twin flame makes you responsible for who you are. They make you say, you know what? It really was my decision in this type of idea. It really was my decision and my choice to either ignore these lessons or not do them or whatever it was that led me to this. And it's thankful that, you got to think about it this way. Imagine you being a being and you purposely coming here to take on a role of being a jerk to somebody. And living a life of chaos just to help people out. And a lot of us do it. If we truly understood life, and this is a little life lesson for a lot of us. If if we truly understood life, then we would understand that there's no good or bad or evil in the world. Why? Because there are souls that have to take on the life of a murderer, a rapist, all these things, just like there's people that have to take on the life of getting murdered and being raped and having these type of ideas and being so miserable in their life to cause misery to others so that they can learn as well as them. And we all do it, people. Every single one of us takes that role many times. You are not a soul that has never murdered or raped somebody, been raped, been murdered. You've never been that jerk. You've always, every one of us has gone to jail or will go to jail sometime in our evolution, several times. We'll be the bad guy in a lot of people's lives. And that's the way life goes, because that is what life has to do in order to evolve. And that's one of the greatest things about that the twin flame does. It brings all that chaos, all that destructions, and that's contractual. That is a contract agreement between you and your twin flame, as you say. And really, a twin flame is just a soul that you have understood, that you have the same type of evolution period at your, that is helping you being able to grow, and vice versa, that when they reincarnate, you will help them. And so really that's all a twin flame is. And I know it's easy to romanticize a lot of times, but twin flames will force you to recognize yourself. If you do not recognize yourself after a chaotic period of time, if you cannot say, you know what, it was my fault for being with this person because I wanted to do these things. And we have all do it. Hey, I'll be honest with you. Even in this lifetime, I've had relationships where I chose to be with the person who treated me horrible because when I was younger, I was lonely and I was trying to figure out who I was. And because I was dealing with trauma, I didn't know how to deal with trauma. And I was trying to learn how to do all this, what I do today, plus live life and everything. It was a lot. And so I, a couple of times, attached myself to some really toxic relationships. And if it wasn't for those toxic relationships, I wouldn't be here now. And I thank them. I really do. I have reached out to them in Facebook and different things, and I've wrote them and I've said, you know what, for many years I was mad at you. And then when I got older and I realized what your role was, I thank you. I really truly thank you for the pain and suffering you caused, even if it was for years, because you allowed me to refocus, because my strength today comes from me not choosing strength in the past. And that's really and that's the greatest thing about twin flames. And this doesn't, just because someone is horrible to you and mean to you, that doesn't mean they're your twin flames. There's a lot of times we incarnate in our lives without our twin flames, and we have those people that have to take on those roles and contracts anyways, because we have to be able to do that. So you have to be able to understand that the person, hey, you have played the villain in someone's life, right? Nobody is free from playing the villain. Everybody plays the fool, everybody plays the villain, and we're all guilty of it. And so why you've played the villain to somebody, and you've had to be that role for somebody else to grow, and yourself, and you've had to do that as well with somebody else, and they've had to do that with you. I mean, and so you have to be able to understand that and grow with that. You have to be able to sit there and say, well, you know what, I'm looking at this and I say, okay, this person came into my life and it's very intense, it's very heated, it's oftentimes it's very passionate, not in a sexual way, but it's very intense. It's almost like a firework. What does a firework do? It goes up really fast, explodes, and then the pieces fall down, right? That's exactly the way a lot of times twin flames come in. And I don't want to give a bad name to the word twin flame, because we always, and that's one of the reasons why we romanticize the thing. But I don't want to give a bad name to the twin flame, because the twin flame is really doing the best for us. They really understand that we've asked them. We've literally, before we incarnate, we've literally asked somebody to come in with us and be a jerk to us and be mean to us to help us grow. And we trust that. We trust that being to incarnate with us and treat us this way to make us learn something that we have to grow, so that we can evolve and grow. So there are two types of twin flames: the external lover and the internal. And the internal is always about the external is always like I said, the person that we were just talking about, somebody coming in, somebody there. But what about the internal? Because we always think about it as external, but there's an internal twin flame, and that is within inside you. That is about duality. That is your duality. That is your soul and spirit merging to be able to understand and grow. That is the light side and the dark side. And no, I don't mean dark as in bad. There is the masculine and the feminine, and this type of twin flame inside you, we all have it, is all about reflection. Because remember, when the external twin flame comes, that means we haven't really been looking at ourselves. We haven't been doing what's needed in order for us to grow. What we've been doing is slacking off and ignoring our things and making choices that aren't helpful. So eventually the external twin flame will create the ignition in the internal twin flame, and that'll force us, because that's what life is. Remember, when we come here, we've come in the third dimension for duality. And in order for that duality to happen, we have to have separation. When we have separation in our life, what ends up happening is that we see things in a different perspective. We see things in a subjective view and an objective view. And so that allows us to grow. And that's really what duality is doing. So we have one life, we experience one thing, and then we experience something in the opposite direction, and we have that internally. And so we have to be able to do that. That's why all of us have played as you want to say, the good guy. We've all played the bad guy. We've all been faithful. We've all been cheaters, or most of us. And we've all done dual things in our life. No one is just one type, straight and narrow the whole life, because otherwise you don't learn anything that way. We all are duality when we come in here, because each of us has a light side and a dark side. And again, I don't mean dark as in bad or evil, and then we all have a masculine and feminine side, and those sides are supposed to work together in order for us to ignite. But what ends up happening is, because for a lot of females, we tend to a lot of times shove away the masculinity, because we're taught in society that we have to be feminine and pretty. I mean, you know how many people probably don't watch the show because I'm not some pretty feminine girl, but if I was, I'd probably have ratings through the roof, because a lot of people judge. But I enjoy being that duality. I enjoy being both masculine and feminine at the same time, and showing it encompassed. And that's what's wonderful about it. But a lot of females push away the masculinity because we're angry at men, the society, and a lot of men push away femininity because they're told that you're gay and all that stuff, and men are taught to put down women as less and all that stuff. And so we have this really disturbed image and idea of what life really is in this internal flame. And so yes, we're always at a chaotic type of idea, especially when we go into relationships. Because let's be honest, how many of you really think, and I don't care who you are, especially us older generations, how many of us really think that there's a woman's job and a man's job? And I know, and even, hey, I'm guilty of it sometimes too. And sometimes I say it to people just out of for kicks, but I'm guilty of it too. I sit there sometimes and we'll say, hey, you know what? There is a and I'll make fun of it just because, but there's a lot of times we have that. And so you have to be able to look at this internal twin flame and say, okay, how can I get the duality part and merge it into that bond that I need? How can I be able to take the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, and merge them together so that they're unified, so that they can grow, so that I can grow? True power, people, in anything. And that's why people always sit. I don't know how many people look at me and will sit there and say, Miss Raina, you don't date? What's wrong with you? What do you mean you don't date? You don't get, and the first question out of their mouth is, you don't get lonely? And I sit there and I say, well, why does being single always equate to being lonely? And they say, well, I could never be that. I could never. I hate being single. Well, no, it's you dislike being with yourself. You dislike being who you are. You don't have the self-worth and self-confidence. When you learn that the internal twin flame of duality that creates the unity of light and dark, masculine and feminine, that positive and negative side that merge and unify into it, it gives you strength, it gives you power. And then when you come to an actual relationship, you don't actually need that person. You want them there to add to your life, not to be able to just be that someone to fix your life. So, all right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back for the last part of the show, and yeah, it's been a rough one. I honestly haven't been feeling great the last couple of days, and I don't know why. I think it's been exhaustion. When I went to Chicago this past couple weeks, all I did was run around, and I love seeing my mom. I love helping her around the house. But I think it takes a toll on me. I think, my health is getting a lot better. I'm getting stronger for the most part, but I think there's a point where, my body just says, you know what, you've done too much and you need to recover. And I think I'm at that point. I almost called off today's show. So there's been a couple points where I kind of zoned out in that because when the blood drops, I just kind of forget. So if you guys have any questions on those areas, please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to continue that discussion. So, all right, guys, let's get into the reincarnation. I gotta find my notes here because the reincarnation, I can't even find. There's so many notes, and that. So when we're talking about, and I can't find anything in here. So okay. So when we're talking about a lot of reincarnation, what are we talking about? We always ask the question, and that's one of the things that a lot of people ask is about reincarnation. Do we come back? Do we not? And of course, the answer is yes, we do come back. If we didn't, think about how hard life would be if you had one shot. If you had one shot to do it. Think about that. Think about you coming and not ever experiencing life at all and having to get it right all at once. And of course, there is no right or wrong, so we throw that idea out the door. But imagine trying to learn everything at once. There is so much to learn about who we are as beings in order for us to grow that we have to have tens of thousands of lives to be able to understand who we are. And then we still come back because, you know what? There's always something to learn. There's always something to be able to grow. There's always, and that's one of the reasons why we have people like the twin flames and the soulmates come in, because it makes life a little bit easier. It's kind of that reminder when soulmates come in. It's kind of that reminder of familiarity. When we leave home, and I know a lot of you guys can relate to this because I can. When we leave home and we for the first time and we've been away, say like we move away, far away, and then we go back to visit our mom and dad isn't there always that familiarity? Like you kind of revert back into that childlike state and you just let your mom and dad do, and just it's just a wonderful, and that's what the soulmates are meant to be. That when we come here in certain incarnations and stuff, we come here with certain souls that we have incarnated with, because those souls will give us that familiarity. They'll help us through what we're going through, what our challenges are, in order for us to grow. And so reincarnation helps because it allows us to build life. Think of it as this way. Life is like a movie, okay? And you are the star of your movie. If you ever watch, I'm a big movie buff fan. I love movies. I have my surround sound. I love to watch action movies, all my Marvel and superhero movies. And every movie has actors, right? And there's the ones that play the good guys, there's the one that plays the bad guys, the ones that get, the background people, the ones that get killed, well, whatever movie we're watching. And so everybody has a role to play in that movie. And when that movie's done, those actors don't quit acting. They go to another movie and play another character, right? And so this is exactly what we do here in Earth. We reincarnate as one character. We play a movie, and this movie right now is the star of Miss Raina, and you are the star of your movie. And when that movie's over, your life will end. You will go back and you will plan another life, and you will act it out just like another movie. You are not the person you are. You are just an idea. You are a combined idea of things that you write out so that you can learn lessons, so that your spirit and soul can grow. Because remember, the body is like the car, and the soul is the person that's driving the car, and the spirit of who we are, which we call our higher selves, which there is no higher self. It is who we are. And that is it sits kind of in the back and say, okay, I'm along for the ride, and just watches what the soul does. The watches the soul. Because remember, one of the things that somebody asked me the other day is, if reincarnation is real, then why don't we ever remember anything? And I said, well, you know what? That's an excellent question. And the reason why we get our minds wiped is because if we remembered the tragedies and the harshes and the things that we've done to other people and the things that have done to us, and not every life is horrible for us, but imagine remembering if you were a serial killer, if the time that it's very traumatic if you were murdered, or if you were burned to death, or if you were maybe drowned in a tar pit and people killed, whatever. There are some really crazy things that have happened through our evolution as human. And if you had those memories, if you were able to see people and you were like, oh, that was my ex-husband when I was a girl, that was my ex-husband in this life, and man, he was a jerk to me. Imagine the chaos that would be happening if we had our full memories. But the spirit remembers, the soul doesn't. The soul gets cut off. The soul is what gets wiped from during reincarnation when we're here. And that's the soul that makes us question us. Well, is there a god or goddess? Is there anything in the universe? Is it energy? Is there anything at all? Is there reincarnation? Why don't I know anything? Because in order for us to attain the level of evolution that we need, we have to learn it from scratch each and every time. And as a guide, we sit down and we watch this, and we understand that you come here each and every single time with your mind wiped, acting like you don't know anything for that specific purpose. If you carried everything over all the time, your brain would be so overloaded. But the great thing about reincarnation and life and existence and consciousness, I should say, is that we always retain everything that we've ever experienced. And no matter what happens in our lives, and in multiple lives, we have this familiarity that happens in have you ever had something where you just walked and people call it deja vu, and you meet someone and you're just like, I know you, but you've never met him before, or you just have a liking? Like, I love Egyptian because I've had many lives in Egypt, ancient Egypt, and I have still to this day, I have my whole house decorated in ancient Egypt with all the gods and goddesses and all this stuff, because that part of my life still carries on. And that doesn't doesn't mean I remember every single thing about that life, but what it does is it means that I know I tap into that familiarity and I say, you know what, I'm going to go with it. It draws towards me. It does. And so that is proof. That is a reminder to the soul that this isn't your first life, that you have had many lives and you're here for a journey. You're here to understand. You're here to grow. And so each life builds on each other. Each life is meant to carry over one life into another. And this is important to understand because, like I said, the information never gets lost. Everybody sits there and says, well, I remember a couple of my clients used to say to me all the time, well, what's the point? You know, like I remember one of their friends died really young. They just got through like grad school or something. And then they got in a car accident and they died. And they say, well, what's the point of that? They just did all this work and they studied all this school for nothing, for never to use it. I said, no, it's not for nothing. They needed that education for them to grow, for them to develop a sense, whatever their sense, whatever lessons they needed. And now that they've reached that, it was their time to go back home. And so they're like, yeah, but it's lost. They're not going to remember it next lifetime. True, they're not going to remember going to school, but what they'll remember is that passion behind it. There are many times where we come back in reincarnation and have similar or the same job over and over and over. There's a lot of people out there that have had many jobs, or as life transforms and those type of jobs die and they evolve into something different, then those type of jobs happen and we go to those because it's a familiarity to us. And so we have to understand that. We have to understand that reincarnation, we don't lose anything. And the reason why you feel like you've lost something is because the soul who you are, who you feel like, right now I feel like Miss Raina, but Miss Raina isn't who I am. You're not who you are. You feel like that because this is the body you've become comfortable in. It's like driving a car, right? When you get a new car, you're like, oh, I don't know how to turn it. The edges, when you're pulling in parking spots. But after driving it for so long, man, you whip in there and you go in because it's comfortable. And that's makes it, when you get in your car, you know it's your car. And that's the same thing for this body. You know it's your body. You're comfortable in this body. And so you're talking to yourself constantly and you're collecting that data. You're collecting that evolution. And you have to be able to understand that. And so it's perfectly logical to have fears because your fears and needs are driven by these shortcomings of not knowing. Our experience each and every time, we're meant to split. Remember, we're meant for separation. Every single life that we have in reincarnation, every time we come here, we're meant to feel separated. And the reason why is because it allows us to bring unity back to who we are. If you're one who's trying to figure out who you are, you can't figure out who you are by looking outside. You have to be able to find that duality and be able to bring it back to unity. Because once you flip that switch and say, okay, well, you know what? I don't know if there's a god or goddess. I don't know if there's a universe out there. I don't know, because it's okay not to know. It's purposely done that way. And the people that act like they know everything, they don't know as much as they say. And they're driven by fear. But when your shortcomings and things that have happened to you in your life, and that they're meant to help you grow in that instance. And so don't ever sit there and let those things, your tragedies and things that have happened to you, destroy this and make you fear and be like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm going to tell you this. You are not punished for doing things. You are not. Okay, I know that goes against everything in this country, especially any religious countries, because you're told that you sin, but you do not sin because you are playing a character in a movie. You are playing a character in life, and you are purposely meant to do specific things in order for certain things to happen so that you can evolve. Everybody, from the Jeffrey Dahmers to the Mother Teresas to the Buddhas to the Saddam Husseins to whoever, they all go to the same place. Every single person goes to the same place. And the reason why they go to the same place is because when we get back and we shed this body, after we meet our people, we remember, oh yeah, that was a character I'm playing. I'm not this person anymore. Poof. And all of a sudden, we're just consciousness. We're not a body anymore. And we remember why we're doing what we're doing. But we're here for our playground. The point of life and reincarnation is to constantly grow. So as we're growing, give yourself some credit. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to be able to mature and learn the information and the knowledge that you're here. Don't try and learn everything at once, because you're never going to be able to do that. You have to stop giving in to your fears. There's a lot of fear right now in a lot of people. And the reason why they are fearful is because they're listening to a television and they're not listening to themselves. They're not educating themselves. They're not going on to educate people. They're not going in medical books. They're not going in things and educating themselves on what is going on. And so people without knowledge just have fear. And that's the reason why we have so much fear in life, even if there's nothing crazy going on. That's why a lot of times I know many people, I was raised in religion, and I knew the nuns would tell me, you better fear God. God's going to punish you all the time. And I sat there and said, what kind of world am I in where this being that I never see or anything is just marking me with a pen and every time I mess up is punishing me? It just didn't make sense to me. And it still does, and that concept still doesn't. But that fear of not having the knowledge drives us into having these reactions of more fear, and that shuts us down. In order for you to understand life, in order for you to understand things like reincarnation and karma and all that stuff, and all these concepts that we have absolutely a complete misunderstanding of, we have to be able to resolve our fear and look at ourselves through unity in order for us to grow. There's no other way around it. As long as you stay separated, as long as you stay divided within yourself in fear and anxiety and hate and anger and stuff like that resolve in you, you will always feel separated and disconnected from everything else. You will not be able to understand that. And so this is one of the reasons why that people wonder all the time, well, is there reincarnation? Yes. 100%, hands down, yes. And there is and it would not make sense for consciousness. Imagine, like I said, imagine if we're such a conscious being, we're such a great and conscious being that wants to explore things. You don't go to school for one day, right? You don't. It just wouldn't make sense. You don't learn everything you need to learn in trade school or college or anything in one day. You don't go, hey, if that would be great, I would love that. If I went to I went to school for 7.5 years for alternative medicine and oriental medicine. If I could do that in one day each, I would absolutely love that. That would save me a world of headaches and a world of, but it was the hard work. It was the step by step. It was the failing tests. It was the not knowing and then pushing through and studying harder and persevering that brought me into the knowledge. And so that is the same way in life that we have to understand that. So, all right, guys, I see it's getting close, so I will close out because I am kaput over here. So, yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, I know this is always a big topic. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at transcendentaltransformations, that's plural, @gmail.com. Visit us on our Facebook at facebook.com/transcendentaltransformation. YouTube is Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Don't forget to sign up for our, don't forget to visit our website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for the newsletter to receive VIP access and hidden shows and guest offers. We're going to be having a lot of guests coming up on our show through the next couple months, so we are excited about that. And I hope you guys enjoy these guests. So sign up for that and make sure if they are offering anything special like free books or anything like that, those people will get it. And if you guys enjoyed tonight's show, please, and you think of anybody that can use this show or benefit from it, please share it. The only way we're going to help others is by having you guys help us help others as well. So please be a part of Transcendental Transformation more than just listening. So, all right, guys, always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.